What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in. I'm a little more awake now than I was earlier when I did that last video for you, so I'm back. Okay, so I've been doing some work online. Been doing some talking with the boss, Marianne. At the moment, I'm unsupervised, but that's not going to last long. But I did get a chance to talk with Marianne. We decided we're going to do some work on the inside to see how much we can see of what's going on through the walls before we do the outside. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to clean everything out of here that we can. Take the curtains and stuff off. Possibly take the cabinets out. Take this frame out and just kind of remove as much as I can so I can get to the paneling on the wall. And once I can clear out enough to be able to get to that paneling and start pulling that off, it's going to start giving me a better idea of what's happening on the other side of the wall. I don't want to go so far as to end up taking a wall off quite yet, because it is still raining outside, it is still wet, and anything on the exterior before I take the siding off is going to have to wait until I know I have the materials, the time, and the weather all working in my favor. So in the meantime, I'm going to start working on collecting the curtains and the rods, things like that. Probably take off all the cabinet doors, because even the hardware on a lot of them is shot anyway. And then start looking into what it's going to take to actually remove the cabinets themselves. So I did notice that there is a rubber seam around the cabinets, and that was probably just their way of giving it an additional seal. But I'm going to determine whether or not I think that's really something I want to keep, or if I could just use caulk or something down the road. But we're going to take off as many of these as we can as well, remove the wall panelings as much as we can, and try to get a better look of what's happening inside. So I'm going to get started, and you guys can just hang out and watch. Yay! Got to make sure I have my caffeine, because it's going to be an undertaking. So there is that. I think Marianne said she wanted to try to keep the actual curtains, or what they use as curtains, because they're thick. So we're just going to keep these all in a pile, wash them, get them cleaned up, and get them ready for when we're ready to put everything back together. So. You would have never guessed. Another curtain. I'm going to try to keep all the hardware together as much as possible too, just in case we can use any of it. Alright, so I got the curtains all off. Probably put those in a bag so we can get ready, wash them, fold them, get them all clean and stuff. So when we're done with everything else, we can just put them back up. Except I did forget one room. Don't forget, this camper has the infamous bathroom. So I gotta clean all that out real quick too. Shed a little light on the situation. Shed a little light. Okay, I think I'm also going to pull off the shower curtain right now too, so I might as well get all that pulled off at the same time. Alright, so now that I got all the curtains off, we got the shower curtain off. Now for the fun part. I'm going to start taking off all the cabinet doors. I'm probably going to number the cabinets so on the inside of it or somewhere, so I know what cabinet door went to what section. I may end up just completely redesigning the cabinets altogether, unless Marianne thinks that we can just salvage these, repaint them, and beautify them a little bit, and then bring them back to a more modern feel. So I'm going to go get my drill, go get a bag, get a couple supplies, and I'll be right back, and I'll start taking the cabinet doors off. So see you in a minute. Bye. Alright everybody, I'm back. So I just went and grabbed a screwdriver, and I also grabbed my power drill, but I'm going to see how the screwdriver works first before I use the power drill. Marianne's going to be coming out here in a minute to help, and I'm probably going to have to send her in to get a little holder for all the little screws and stuff. But in the meantime, I'm going to start with these two cabinets, then those three cabinets, and then work my way back from there. So here we go. Should be fun. Okay, so one thing to remember, that I had to remember on this, is that they have little shocks or little hinge things on it, so I gotta make sure I take those screws out so I don't ruin those. Okay, so I got those two off, and I'm going to start on these three over here. That way you can watch. Okay, I'm actually going to go get a drill because I think it'll be a lot quicker than the screwdriver, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I got a drill because I was taking too long with the screwdriver. One mistake I've seen a lot of people do when they're using screws and screwdrivers and stuff is they really don't pay attention to having the right screwdriver tip for the type of screws. And that's an easy way to start stripping out screws and ruin them. So whenever you're using a screwdriver or a screwdriver bit, just put it in, make sure it's the right fit first. That way you're not risking ruining the bit or ruining the screw and then having a bigger battle of getting it out of there. So, a little piece of advice. Another tip I have too for when you're doing a lot of this stuff by yourself, magnetic tips are very helpful to keep the screws from falling into a crack and being lost forever. So if you have them, use them. The magnetic tips help a lot. Okay, so now I got those two cabinet doors off. I got these three cabinet doors off. I think the next section I'll probably start removing are the cabinet doors underneath the sink and taking the drawers out too, so it's all out of the way when I'm ready to pull everything out. So here we go. Alright, so I just found my first little hidden issue. That probably wouldn't have noticed it was there without doing this. So I just took the drawers out, and while I was taking the last couple of drawers out, I noticed something that wasn't quite right. And here's what I found out. So this board back here that's holding the back of the drawers on isn't even secured to anything anymore. The screw's backed out or broken off. You can tell it's got some kind of water damage going on, and it's not even secured to anything anymore. So it's not a big deal, but it's still something that I need to address right now, or before I put the drawers back in. So that's why we're doing what we're doing, finding the hidden little issues. Now, one thing I'll probably do when I put these back on is I'll probably come up with some kind of a latching system or a magnet on the inside. So when you close it, it holds it tight. So when you're driving down the road and rattling and shaking, the drawers don't open up on you and have stuff fall everywhere. So that one wasn't even attached. Alright, so I'm just going to take a little bit of a minute, check on Mom and TIPA daughter, see what's going on, and then I'll be right back. Talk to you in a minute. Bye. Okay, so at this point we got the cabinet doors out of the way. I have a couple more to take off, get those out of the way, and then we'll look around and kind of come up with what's next. So. Alright, so at this point we got all the cabinet doors off of everything in here. There's still some in the bathroom I need to get, but it's too tight in there for me to record myself doing it. But since that's on the back wall, and right now I'm feeling okay with the back wall at this point, I'm going to hold off on the bathroom section, and I'm just going to focus on this main area as far as taking everything out. I do have to keep in mind the power is still hooked up to the batteries, so before I do much more, I'm going to disconnect the fuse to make sure no power is running through anything. Make sure the lights don't turn on, stuff like that. It is not plugged into any 110 outlets, so there's no 110 coming in. But I still have to shut off the power so I don't electrocute myself. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'm going to start working on the cabinets. So I'll be right back. Well, I just had another interesting discovery. So, let me show you. So here's where the power distribution panel is. I shut off all the breakers, so they're all off. Micro, AC, appliances, lights, and the main breaker. Those are all off. Took out the main fuse to power anything that's supposed to be 12 volt DC. But guess what? I still have lights. I shouldn't have lights. That still turns on. It shouldn't be turning on. So apparently there's some electrical stuff going on too, that breaker panel really doesn't matter, because shut the breakers off and it still works. That ain't right. So I'm going to do some things, see what I can figure out with that, so I don't electrocute myself, and we'll go from there. Oh boy.